recent Indian elections that happened. Of course, all the information that you get about Pakistan and India and about, vice versa, it gets very muddled. And so, for a better understanding for our own listeners, this time we witnessed that the BJP did not win with as much of the lead as it did last time. And also, a few months prior to that, especially those of us who are student organizers, saw the victory of the left student organizations in JNU. Of course, unions in Pakistan over 40 years remain banned. We've done movements before. There's been some legal bills done, but nothing beyond that. It's an ongoing thing. But so yeah, I was hoping you could, shed some light upon the political landscape in India right now and how you see that.
India, like Pakistan, is a very large country. And it's very, very hard in India to have generalizations because the landscape is so bewilderingly enormous. And, unlike China, which is also a large country, India is broken up by a number of nationalities where, where there are very different political cultures. So the political culture in Tamil Nadu, for instance, it cannot be understood in Rajasthan. Tamil Nadu's, Dravidian movement, non-Brahmin movement, really changed the landscape there. Or in Kerala, where the reform movement and then the communist movement really transformed the state, in many ways. So that's the first thing. One can never talk about India, in terms of politics. It really is at least 40 or 50 different zones. Now, one of the things that was pretty interesting in this election was Narendra Modi was going for Modi 3.0. That was his desire. This is going to be Modi once again. And it became clear early on, and this was interesting, after the farmers' movement, it became clear in northern India, where Mr. Modi and the BJP have a stronghold. It became pretty clear, that Modi was not going to have the kind of wave that he wanted. In fact, the BJP is an election machine, but at the grassroots, the organization that functions is the RSS, the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, the more neo-fascistic group founded in 1925 in Nagpur. The RSS, because they are a more grassroots organization and have direct touch with their base, through shakhas and so on, in Uttar Pradesh and in Uttaranchal and different parts of northern India, the RSS withdrew from the election because they knew that there was no mass sentiment for the BJP and Modi. And what they didn't want is to impact their base negatively. For them, maintaining the integrity of the RSS is more important than whether the BJP wins or not. When the RSS began to pull back in UP and so on, it became clear to those who watch the election that the BJP wasn't going to do well in their strongholds in the north. At the same time, there was a big anti-incumbency sentiment in the country. So while they lost in the north, they won in Odisha, they won in parts of the south, one or two seats here and there, compensating for the loss in the north. So that's the first thing, is that the BJP actually did much worse than they had thought they would do. Much worse. To lose, the seat of Faizabad, Ayodhya, where the Ram Mandir was being built, that is a very interesting direct statement at Mr. Modi. And Mr. Modi's own, margin in Allahabad, in Banaras decreased, his own margin. So the BJP didn't do great. The opposition struggled. The Congress did much better than it had been anticipated to do before. Part of this is the dynamism shown after a very long time by Rahul Gandhi. Because, there is a big media part of this and social media part of the election. And when he decided to walk across the country, this Bharat Jodo Yatra, he made a big impact on the public in some ways, some places as well. So the Congress did much better than expected. But the opposition was not able to come together completely. So in parts of Uttar Pradesh, there was still, divides in the opposition that had they come together, they would have really destroyed the BJP in the north and perhaps wiped out the BJP for a generation. But they didn't. They still had their differences and so on. You have to make a political choice. Sometimes you say, let's come together to get rid of that malignant political force, and later we can fight it out amongst each other. But that attitude was simply not there. People have their own sections to protect. It's very difficult to come together. I don't mean to be preachy on this. You have a base. Your base is not going to go and even if you make a on united front from above, your base may not come with you. They may stay separate. They say, I don't want to vote for that guy. They are my immediate oppressors. For instance, if you go with a middle caste party and you are a Dalit party, the Dalit base says, I don't want to vote for a middle caste candidate because they are our landlords and so on. We want our own political formation. So the political education required to do a united front is complicated. If you just take the, Pakistan, Punjab, for instance, the base may not want to ever ally with a party where they see, for instance, their the colonels of the military, and they are the ones who send the cannon fodder. Why would they want to send there? Your political leader has a son who is a general. Why would they want to come and ally with that party? So it's very hard to move base when you're talking about a united front strategy. I always tell people our strategies of united front and so on, this is not mathematics. You don't take the bases of two parties, add them together and say, okay, fine, we'll have so many. Doesn't work like that. The base is made up of real living human beings with real living, assessment of the political situation. They don't come along. So still, it could have been interesting to have run a political campaign of unity. But that didn't happen. And so the BJP still was able to survive. They could this time have been wiped out, but they were not. Now, for the left, it's very tough terrain. I mean, I remember the time when the left had 42 members of parliament in the lower house in Delhi, the Lok Sabha. 42 members. Now we are down to under 10. And that too, two of them, thanks to a alliance in Tamil Nadu. Two of them, one in the agrarian belt. They were farmer leaders in Bihar. One in Rajasthan, the great Amra Ram, one of the leaders of the farmer struggle, triumphed in Sikar, did really well. We got a seat in Kerala. I mean, it's out of 20 seats, CPIM won one seat. The Congress won the rest. I mean, for the left, elections are difficult. To be frank, there's just not the money that you need for the media campaigns to build a troll farm and so on. You just don't have the money nowadays to run in a liberal democratic system. To get that money, you need corruption. And that's a choice parties have to make. So, Indian election, Modi is back, but I mean, not the Modi of, there's not Modi 3.0. That much is for sure. Modi is much weakened. I constantly look for openings for India-Pakistan dialogue, for instance. Yeah, constantly look for those openings, and it just can't see it on either side. There are, in a sense, two weak governments. You have a weak government in Pakistan. There's a weak government in India. Weak governments can't can't do a conversation about difficult issues. You need a strong government, with a sense of historical destiny to close the gap in negotiations. These are weak governments. That means for 6 more years, we're going to be sitting in this limbo where the whole world develops rapidly and Pakistan and India, with the greatest complementarities, cannot develop together.